So if you've watched my videos, you know that I'm a pretty big fan of toasted bourbons, toasted whiskeys in general. And when I reviewed this Elijah Craig private barrel, toasted single barrel just before, kind of made me think that, when I say I like, toasted bourbons, toasted whiskeys, there's a lot to that category. And I think it's becoming even more and more expansive because it just doesn't mean one specific type of bourbon, but there's just so many of them. Let me give you a few examples. So, of course, the one I reviewed is a regular, it's a rye bourbon for Elijah Craig, and rye is a secondary grain. I believe it's 10%. But my other big favorite, which is, basically meets everything of a bourbon, but it's technically a Tennessee whiskey, is this Jack Daniel's Heritage Barrel Toasted Single Barrel. This is 100 proof, and it just checks all the boxes for me. As a matter of fact, these two right now I think are my immediate favorites. Then, wheated bourbons are represented in the toasted category. This is the Fiddler Toasted. This one's a cask strength, and this is a very high wheat content in this one. I believe there's also one that's lower proof, but this was my first toasted wheated bourbon, and this one's really, really good. Of course, we can't forget the Toasted Peerless, but I do feel that these are a little on the pricey side for what it is. But then again, some of these toasted barrels are also because of that second process of putting the matured bourbon into a second toasted barrel. Of course, found this short barrel toasted small batch in Florida. And yes, even Basil Hayden has representation here. The Basil Hayden toast totally is a different mash bill. It uses brown rice as a secondary grain, but it's really, really weak. And I think this is the weakest of all of them. Even weaker than the Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel 94 proof. And of course, speaking of Elijah Craig toasted barrels, we can go totally out of the bourbon category and go to rye, because just as the Elijah Craig has the toasted barrel 94 proof as well as the barrel proof that I just showed you, they also make a toasted rye. And I got to be honest with you, of the 94 proof toasted, even though I'm not a big rye guy, I think this one, toasted rye 94 proof, I like actually better than the 94 proof toasted bourbon barrel. But to close, the bottle I just reviewed, this private barrel, toasted single barrel from Elijah Craig, 124.4 proof, jumped right up to the top for me. And of course, the Jack Daniel's Heritage Barrel, toasted single barrel, 100 proof, really good. I may have to actually do a blind with these, even though this is way more available than something like this. Only stores that do store picks and will have this is really where you can find these types of barrel-proof toasted single barrels, whereas this is becoming more and more available. So when you're talking toasted, yes, I love toasted bourbons, toasted whiskeys, but as you can see, there's a lot to that category, and it's becoming more and more all the time. Cheers.